Being bilingual is a really sought after skill, and for a lot of us, there's one language in particular that we want to learn. Of course, I'm talking about Japanese. After all, there's so much that us nerds can attain from learning Japanese. We can watch anime, play games, and read manga without subtitles. It's practically a dream, right? And one of the most common and easy ways to start learning a language is, of course, Duolingo. And understandably as well. It's easy to start, it's free to use, it gamifies it so you can stay committed pretty easily. And with the language tree, you can easily see progress you're making visually. The question is though, how good is that progress really? Duolingo has a bit of a sketchy reputation in the Japanese learning and language learning community in general for how good it actually is at teaching you a language. I can't speak for other languages since I've only done the Japanese course, but I'm pretty confident in saying I'm an expert on it. Is it worth your time? Should you study Japanese on Duolingo? Can you become fluent, move to Japan? Or will you have to give up on your anime without subtitles dream? Here's my experience of Duolingo. I studied it for over 1,500 days straight, and I had never missed a day. My streak never died. I worked on the Japanese Duolingo tree bit by bit as it updated and expanded from 2019 to 2023 when I finished it. However, I have to of course mention that Duolingo was not my introduction to Japanese learning. I have been studying Japanese in some form since about 2011. Granted, a lot of it wasn't great learning, but I didn't properly start learning till high school, and I've been studying it ever since, every day. I started learning Japanese through Duolingo because in my final year of high school, we were trying to figure out ways to continue studying, and my teacher at the time recommended it as a good way to study when we finish, and that is something I can certainly testify to. Duolingo's main strength as a language learning tool is it being able to supplement your study, never the main source though. This is very important and what most people don't actually do. You see, Duolingo is really good to get consistent revision in. You can keep track of it. You can just make some progress in your reading, writing, listening, and sometimes even speaking. I haven't done the speaking much though because it was always a bit iffy on there. But it's just a really good way to consistently study some Japanese. Yeah, you may learn some extra vocab or common phrases, but its main strength is just revision. If you're really genuinely interested in learning Japanese, you need to do separate independent study. Grammar, vocab, kanji, listening, speaking, and eventually immersion with the language. There are many ways to learn Japanese beyond Duolingo. For example, you can easily download textbooks, do classes online or in person, join speaking groups. I will go into detail about my particular learning process later on, but just know that there's plenty of information and resources readily available. Duolingo though is pretty bad at actually teaching you concepts. There's no real lesson structure, it's just solely questions. They never take the time to explain anything. You're meant to just brute force your way through it till you get it correct and learn. For example, I've recently had a friend trying to learn Japanese, and I got her started on learning hiragana. In my experience, I learned hiragana in an afternoon back in 2014 after I went to Japan for the first time and wanted to start learning the language. I just wrote it out a million times till I had it memorized, and I've just been able to read hiragana and katakana fluently for over a decade now, ever since. What I didn't realize is how difficult it may be for someone who has no prior knowledge of the language. This friend was using Duolingo just sparingly to practice, and Duolingo will teach you hiragana out of context. You're just expected to kind of learn it as you go. This isn't a great method by any means, so she learned hiragana not properly, and when I got her trying to start it, it was a lot more difficult for her than it was for me. This did actually make me reconsider and appreciate how easy I've had language learning, and it was able to come naturally to me because I was younger. Now, of course, Duolingo used to be a bit better at this. It would have notes for each level before you started that would explain the concepts a little bit. Not greatly, but at least a little bit. And they had the discussion forums where on each question there would be a page where people would break down the answers to it or ask questions about the answers for more solutions or for people to explain it, and that was really good. However, these have since been removed. So, to what degree of Japanese should you know first before you use Duolingo as a supplement? I'd recommend at least learning about hiragana and katakana by yourself first, or through means of like a textbook, online, or a class, etc. It's pretty easy to learn, as well as understanding just how basic levels of politeness, past tense and casual speak works. For me personally, I use a few different methods to practice Japanese in my day-to-day life. Those would be Anki, which is a flashcard program which is highly customizable for vocabulary, but you could use it for kanji, sentence structure, images, anything really. I use Kanji Garden for kanji study, which has a paid version I don't use though. All of my self-Japanese study has been entirely free. And of course, I was learning Japanese from a much younger age, so everyone's strategy will be a little bit different towards learning it. Perhaps you enjoy speaking and listening more than reading and writing. I personally always found reading and writing easier than speaking and listening, so that is more my forte, and I structure it more around memorization and repetition practice over things such as immersion. That is where I fall short. Another question with Duolingo is it's kind of infamous online for the memes of the Duolingo owl haunting you and hunting you down because you're not doing your study for the day or you're not continuing a streak. So I never lost my streak from about July of 2019 to October of 2023. Not a single day was missed. And honestly, with Duolingo, this is one of the easier things to maintain. A single lesson or piece of revision a day will keep your streak alive. I would do it in the mornings on my phone before classes. I would do it just as I'm waking up, as I'm going to bed even. As long as you get one single piece in, you're good. It doesn't matter how long it takes for you to actually complete the course. Some people finish it a lot faster than I did. However, when I did it, the course also grew and updated over time, so every time I get close to finishing, it would just grow bigger. At one point as well, I would do a single level of a course a day. So really, it's up to you how you want to do your study. You can do many different things. I would always do a mix of Anki and Duolingo and Kanji Garden, and now I've dropped Duolingo from my routine. In addition, Duolingo also offers things that make it a bit easier, such as streak freezes and weekend ambulance, so you can take a break or if you're going away on holiday. And of course, battling burnout and life can be difficult, so really don't stress too much about it and just focus on being consistent overall and getting effective Japanese study over the quantity or about the streak with Duolingo. Honestly, having a high streak with Duolingo can be a bit of a burden. I wasn't even really enjoying it that much, but I just did it to keep the streak alive, and that can be good to get consistent learning. But when I knew it already wasn't the best, it just kind of became a waste, and I was honestly really relieved to let the streak die when I did finish my study with Duolingo. The things that were a bit bad at Duolingo over time was that they often removed some really nice features such as the forums, and they were pushing more and more for super. On the PC version, you didn't ever have ads if you had an ad blocker, and there were no hearts. In my last about 6 months of doing Duolingo, they did change this, and I feel that's just really emphasizing you to pay for it, and discourages free use of it because you can only do limited lessons a day, and it just makes it really frustrating. I'm someone that likes to do a lot of study in one setting, and it really discouraged that, which was annoying. In addition, I was also about to go on a month-long Japan trip. That's why I had been studying in the first place, and I didn't want to be taking time out of my trip and studying it. I wanted to focus on enjoying it rather than worrying about my Duolingo streak. And another very important thing is that you at all don't need super to finish your course. They do advertise that your whatever time is more likely to succeed, but I did it for over 1,000 days straight without needing super at all. And once you get a certain amount of streak, they just give it to you for free for a few days to try it out, and I still never paid for it. Of course, despite all the memes around Duolingo and its effectiveness, you must always know that the journey of learning a language is a long one. It's hard work. And no matter what method you choose, it can be very rewarding to stick with it and learn over time and see your own personal growth with any language. I think it is definitely worth it. After I finished studying and I went to Japan for the first time in 5 years, it was really amazing to see how much I was able to understand now, and Duolingo did help with that, but just my own self-study I put in went a long way into making that experience so much better, and it's just the most evidence you need of why learning a language is so worthwhile. I was able to read signs, understand people. The people there are so much happier, and they're just so impressed that you're able to know any Japanese, let alone communicate properly with them in a legible manner and converse with them about regular topics. One of my favorite stories was talking to some people about anime for an hour straight in a hostel just in fully Japanese. It was amazing, and it just made me feel so much more connected. It didn't feel as much like a foreign alien place and more just somewhere that I could have fun and just feel connected to the people there by sharing a language. Communication is such a powerful thing, and learning a language is definitely worthwhile, no matter how you do it, Duolingo or not. So if you're thinking about doing Duolingo, I'd say give it a go. If it's not your style, that's also perfectly okay. Language learning is a very personalized journey, and I wish you all the best in it. Thank you for watching this little video. I've done Japanese for so long, I really wanted to talk about it, and I feel I've got a lot to say about Duolingo since I've done it for so long. This was the first video I've made since kind of trying to get into the rhythm of making videos at a faster rate, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out and the process behind making it. So look forward to more videos like this soon, and if you enjoyed it, please do leave a like or subscribe. I really do appreciate it, building a little community. And yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching.